Thank you all for being here today. There is an amazing group of people who were instrumental in making this happen, and I'm grateful. I stand before you today to claim November as Family Court Awareness Month. I do this to honor the almost 800 children who have been murdered by separating or divorcing parents since 2008. I also want to honor their surviving heartbroken mothers and sometimes fathers. It's crippling pain to lose a child, and when that is compounded by the fact that many of these deaths were preventable, I just can't even imagine. These children have been failed by the family court system. Two of these mothers are here today to share their stories with us, and we are all surrounding them in love and admiration for the advocacy work that they are doing to make sure that this does not continue happening to other kids. When the family court system fails to protect our most vulnerable members of society, they fail every single one of us. These children are our future, yet in the family court system, they are treated like property and divided like assets. October was Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which we all know the 101 of domestic violence is that it's about power and control. As victims of domestic violence, we are told to be brave and to leave the situation and the abuse, and we're applauded and supported when we decide to do that. We then unknowingly walk into a new form of abuse, post-separation abuse. The abuser's desire to maintain power and control didn't suddenly vanish when we fled the situation. In fact, it often intensifies. Now the abuser is left with two weapons to maintain their need for power and control: the children and the family court system. It becomes a game to them. They know that children are the way to inflict the greatest pain on their victim. The family court system becomes their main platform to do this. It's not about the children. It's not about their love for the children. It's about hurting their victim and maintaining control. So I stand here today to put judges and other family court professionals on notice. We have marked the number of murdered children at 758, but in the past 2 weeks, that number has grown by at least 4 that we know of. 4 more children murdered by separating or divorcing parents, and it has to stop. And so part of my goal is to mark this number and put everyone on notice that now everyone is watching. It's not just those of us who have experienced this system and our kids have been failed by the system. It's my goal to raise awareness across the country. Child safety has to be prioritized over parental rights. Allegations of domestic violence, whether it's emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse, must be taken seriously. If you work in the family court system and you are tasked with the job of protecting children, their lives are literally in your hands. They are not case numbers. Every time this number increases, every time a child is murdered, everyone in the system is accountable. I stand here today. Our theme for this RV adventure tour has been fueled by the desire for awareness and change, but I'm also fueled by outrage that this broken system continues to fail so many. It should matter to each and every person in this world, regardless of whether or not they are personally involved in the system. And now I would like to welcome a very strong advocate for child safety, Senator Susan Rubio.
Good morning, everyone. Or, sorry, good afternoon. It's already such an emotional moment just to see all the beautiful faces displayed on this table. It's really heartbreaking. But first of all, I'm Senator Susan Rubio. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this process, this event, because I think that together, collectively, we can make a difference and really make sure that people are aware of all those children that are being murdered and what we can do about it. I'm honored to stand here with so many remarkable women because I know I can never understand the depth of your pain, but I'm here to tell you that I stand with you. I feel your heart, your pain, and I wish I could do something more about it, but I'm here to continue the fight and fight alongside with you. As a domestic violence survivor myself, I do know how difficult it is to tell your story. I do know how difficult it is to try and get people to listen. And I know how difficult it is to hear the words, "It didn't happen. Why didn't she leave?" And I hope that someday we can eradicate that from our lexicon. We don't want to keep hearing over and over, "Why didn't she leave?" Because it's not a moment in time, but it's a process, a continual process of abuse and oppression. I also know that the laws are often skewed to support our abusers and not the victims. So I stand here before you as a proud ally and advocate. When I started this journey and I got elected to this state senate, I made it my mission to work alongside victims and advocates to change the laws. One of the first laws that I passed, being a teacher for 17 years, I recognized that not only are adults caught in those unfortunate relationships, but I also understood that sometimes our youth already early on are getting involved in these unhealthy relationships and they have no one to turn to. So I passed a bill that now requires that every single ID card in the state of California has the National Domestic Violence Hotline on the back of the student ID card from 7th grade all the way to college. So hopefully anyone that needs the help can turn that card around, whether it's a friend trying to help a friend, a child trying to help a parent, or them trying to help themselves. There's a number they can call. In every single ID card in the state of California, that number is there and it's available. Another policy that I set out to change is I understood my experience and I met with so many victims across the state and so many victims that continue to share their stories. And one of the hardest things for victim is, number one, is, to gain that courage to come forward and tell your story. I was one of those victims. It was very difficult being in the public eye, just fearing what are people going to say, the shame. You often think it's your fault. That's sort of, it's innate in us. We can't change that. We're often told as little girls to behave and be good, and you wonder, did I misbehave? Did I cause it? Anyhow, it took me a long time to know that it wasn't my fault and there's nothing to be ashamed of. If I don't tell my story now, then I am not in a position to help others. And I hope that if we can at least help one victim out there, it's worth the fight. So I set out to change the laws. Victims in the state of California had 3 years to bring their abusers to justice. 3 years. A lot of us here know that the trauma sometimes will last a lifetime. 3 years is not enough for a victim to gain the strength, get counseling, find her or his voice to come forward. And I was fortunate enough to meet with, collaborate with many victims who've already had experienced the deficiencies in the court system and the challenges, the barriers that prevented them from bringing their abusers to justice. And we were able to extend the statute of limitations 2 more years. We went from 3 to 5 years, and it's called the Phoenix Act. So I'm very proud that now victims have 2 more years to take a breath, find their strength, and let's get those abusers to court. The last piece of legislation that I want to share with you, I think it's extremely important, and in my view, it's the heart of every tragedy as it pertains to domestic violence and the life lost of innocent children like yours. And I heard it said earlier, one of the biggest barriers is that the courts don't listen. They're just stories, and they don't want to hear it unless they see the bruise, the broken bones, it's not abuse. And so I just passed a bill that was signed this month by the governor, and it's 1141, that finally defines coercive control in family court. Yes. So what this means is that usually, and I dealt with this, where they tell you that's not abuse, let me see the evidence. So unless you can show that bruise, they're not listening. Well, now every single court has to listen to you because now coercive control is part of the family code. And that means that now you can use every single act of oppression, whether it is, and this is what abusers do. Little by little, they erode a person's self-esteem, sense of self, sense of confidence. They manipulate everything in a person's life, from finances to possible opportunities for financial success, like jobs, education. And they surveil you. They watch who you call, who you see. Little by little, they isolate you from friends and families because it's about power and control. And I think I heard it said earlier, it's about that power and control. Well, now coercive control, that power and control, you are going to be able to use it in court to tell a story, because abuse doesn't happen that one day when someone gives you a black eye or breaks your bones. It is a continuation of torture, oppression, and abuse, and it happens over time. And I often tell people, you see the assaults after years of coercive controlling behavior that is psychologically damaging. And I would argue, and I hope that some of you here can attest to this, they're harder to overcome than a bruise that goes away the next day. It is a psychological damaging behavior that leaves you broken, and it's harder to rebuild. So once again, I say to you, I'm here to support any other efforts that you have because first of all, I want to thank Ana Esteves because Ana Esteves was there in my committee to testify on behalf of my policy. And I thank her because her voice was very powerful when she told the story of Piki and what happened to her in the court system and how they wouldn't listen to her. I thank her because it was Piki's voice coming through Ana who helped change every single mind on that dais. If I remember correctly, it was unanimous. And so I really want to thank Ana and all the victims. So I want to just say that I hope that 1141, which is coercive control and family code, we always remember in honor of Piki and the 700, over 758 now children that have lost their lives. Thank you again to all of you and continue the fight.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. I would like to begin by thanking Tina, Tina Swithin, Senator Rubio, Jacqueline Franchetti, and my dear friend Ana Esteves, and everyone else with us here today to help raise awareness of the challenges and issues with family courts, not just here in California, but throughout our country. As the Assemblywoman representing California's 48th Assembly District, I am proud to have introduced legislation prioritizing child safety in the family court system. As the sister of a victim of domestic violence, actually a survivor of domestic violence, I am proud to tell you that my time in the legislature has been now 4 years, and I joined that fight as well for victims of domestic violence. But I cannot be more proud to tell you that my sister, Senator Susan Rubio, has been my inspiration, and my dear friend Ana Esteves has been my inspiration to fight not only for domestic violence victims, but for the children of those domestic violence victims, because they matter too. It seems to me sometimes that in the family court system, we talk about domestic violence, and we exclude some of those children from those conversations. So the work that you all are doing today is amazing. The work that Senator Susan Rubio has done is amazing, and we hope to continue that fight. I know that we have a long way to go towards establishing true justice within the family court system, and that is why I'm proud to be here with you today. In addition to the legislation, one of my proudest moments as an Assemblywoman was passing Resolution 113, otherwise known as Piki's resolution. The historic resolution named in the memory of 5-year-old Beaky, who tragically was a victim of the inadequacies of the family court system and was taken from us by a father with a history of abuse. This resolution formally acknowledges the difficulties that survivors of domestic violence face in child custody situations and calls on family court judges to prioritize the child's safety in custody disputes. As I mentioned, we still have a long way to go in the family court reform, and I look forward to all of our continued partnerships on this crucial issue. I want to extend my condolences to Jacqueline Franchetti for her daughter, Kira, sorry. Although we have not spent time together yet, I look forward to working with you and being a partner with you in this everlasting fight to make sure that children like your dear Kira is not taken from you, from others. I am also very proud to call Beaky's mother, Ana Esteves, my dear friend. I know she will continue to fight relentlessly for justice so that no other parent has to experience what she and many of you have been through. Ana is a fighter, and I have committed to be in that fight by her side to honor the memory of Beaky and prevent other children from being hurt. Thank you again to everyone that is present here today and to everyone following along remotely. We will not rest until we accomplish that reform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to welcome my dear friend, Sandra Ross, up to read a statement on behalf of Congressman Judy Chu.
Tina, I guess I got married on the way here. I hope it's not a family court case.
I have another friend with
I'm proud to be able to read this on behalf of Representative Judy Chu, who at the federal level has been involved in bringing awareness and engaged on resolutions that put child safety as a priority in the court systems. So in her words, hello, I'm so sorry that I'm unable to join you today in person, but I want to thank you for launching this national child safety campaign, allowing me to send a statement in support. Too many children die preventable deaths each year, and we must continue to put forth best practices, policies, and laws that protect the well-being of all children. We must make safety of our children a priority, and your work is bringing attention to this important issue. I want you to know that I'm doing my part in Washington as well. That is why I proudly co-sponsored H. Con Res 72 in 2017 and was pleased when it passed in the House of Representatives in 2018. This resolution recognizes that in family courts, child safety is the first priority and that evidence in these hearings should only be considered if it meets certain standards. This is a great first step, but there is more work to be done. As a member of the Ways and Means Subcommittee on Worker Support and Families, which has jurisdiction over child welfare, I have also supported and pushed for legislation that strengthens families like Family First Prevention Services Act. We know that too many families are being torn apart because of struggles with addiction. So this bill helps by providing mental health services, substance use treatment, and in-home parenting skills for parents so that children do not have to be removed from their home while parents receive the help and treatment they need. It also provides money for the Court Improvement Program to include training for judges and attorneys in child welfare cases. I have also supported providing more money for child abuse prevention, for the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act, CAPTA, in my appropriations request. CAPTA provides state funds for community-based services to effectively prevent, child and abuse and neglect. But none of this would be possible without advocates and community leaders like everyone here today. So thank you all for raising awareness on the importance of child safety. I look forward to continuing to work with you as we consider legislation in the new Congress that supports the well-being of our children in this country. We must invest in our children so they can thrive and be the bright light of our future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And next, we are going to welcome and embrace Piki's mom, Ana Estevez.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by giving thanks to Tina for promoting Family Court Awareness Month, to Senator Susan Rubio for fighting the fight to protect victims of domestic violence, and Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio for being my friend and being a champion in the fight to keep children safe. I also want to thank Congresswoman Judy Chu for taking the time back in 2017 to listen to my story about my son and to be courageous enough to co-sponsor House Resolution 72. As many of you know and may have experienced, our family court system is broken. Family court fails families and children on a daily basis. We have judges who are arrogant, biased, apathetic, and make decisions that kill children. We have court evaluators who are more concerned about completing reports than evaluating evidence. 3 years ago, I appeared before a family court judge, pleading for a restraining order against my ex-husband. I feared for my safety and the safety of my 5-year-old son, Beaky. I was certain that after reviewing the evidence provided and listening to the testimony of 3 law enforcement officers, the judge would see how truly dangerous my ex-husband was. After delivering his ruling, the judge insolently stated that my ex-husband's testimony was more credible than mine. My restraining order was denied. And 4 months later, my ex-husband murdered my son by suffocating him in the back seat of his vehicle after spending the day at Disneyland. I believe that the family court system was just, fair, and served the purpose it was designed to serve until I stepped into Department 81. Judge Robert Broadbelt III stepped up and acknowledged the horrendous damage you have caused to the families who have appeared in your courtroom. The blood on your hands and the harm you have caused has tipped the scales of justice. There is no reparation that can remedy the wrongs you have done. To family court judges who are currently on the bench, if you wake up in the morning and cringe at the thought of hearing another child custody case argued in your courtroom, it is time for you to step down. We, the people that you took an oath to serve, deserve better. We deserve judges who believe in truth, who are fair, who are willing to implement the judicial canons with integrity and fidelity, and who do not enter judgments that give abusive parents the tools to murder children. Educate yourself on family violence and child abuse, not because you are mandated to complete professional development hours annually, but because you want to fulfill the moral and ethical responsibility you assumed when you swore to serve and uphold the law. And remember, you serve us, we do not serve you. And to my son, Peaky, Mama loves you to the moon and back, and will never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana. I would like to welcome Kira's mom, Jacqueline Franchetti.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Senator Rubio, Assemblywoman Rubio, Ana, all of the parents that are here the moms and the dads that are at home that are watching, the child survivors that are here and at home, thank you so much for your time and attention today. I'm Jacqueline Franchetti. I'm Kira's mom. And I'm honored to be here representing New York and really the East Coast, but quite frankly, this is nationwide. And this shouldn't be happening. We are in the middle of a family court crisis, and today is the time for change. Like you and like Tina mentioned, I heard those messages to get out of a domestic violence relationship, to leave. And I can sit here today and tell you I did everything I was supposed to do. I got out, and I got out to protect Kira. But there's something that we're not told when we leave an abusive relationship. We're not told what happens the day after, when we end up in family court, because we are not protected and our children are not protected, and that needs to change. What happened to Kira can happen to you. It can happen to someone you know or love, your child, your grandchild, your nephew, your niece, your neighbor, your colleague, unless change happens. And the time for change, like I said, is now. It's up to us. It's up to all of us. It's up to wonderful legislators who hear us and recognize that there are problems. It's up to advocates like us to bring this forward and make people aware of the problems that are facing us today. And it's up to all of you who are at home to get your community, to make sure that they're aware, gather your neighbors together, get your family together, because it's up to us to bring about change. Our family court system is failing, but hope is on the horizon, and we can bring about change. Kira was 28 months old. She loved Elmo, she loved Mickey Mouse. She had just learned to roll down a hill, and she was so proud of that accomplishment. When she did it, she got up and said, "I did it, Mama, I did it." And in July of 2016, Kira was on a court-sanctioned, court-approved visit with her abusive father. And he shot her twice in the back while she slept. He then poured gasoline all over his home. He set it on fire, and he killed himself. And Kira's murder was 100% preventable. She should never have been with him that day. She should be alive. Kira's father wasn't mentally ill. He wasn't abusing drugs or alcohol. He was an abuser, and he wanted to hurt me. And killing Kira was the ultimate form of revenge from an abuser. Courts need to wake up. They need to recognize that this is happening and this is a reality. Kira's murder was not an isolated incident. This is happening in every courthouse, in every county, in every state. And it's all preventable. And as awful as the child murders are, this doesn't even begin to take into account the number of children who are court-ordered into homes with their rapist, with someone who's beating them or verbally lashing them on a daily basis. We can do better. When I walked into court the first time, I thought, like many of you, and probably many of you who are at home, that any judge who hears what is going on in Kira's case is going to throw the book at her father when they hear about the abuse. I was shocked, just as sure as many of you were, to find out how upside down and backwards things are in family court. I was fighting every day to keep me safe and to keep Kira safe. That should not be happening. The harsh reality and the fact is, courts, our family court system in America is set up to protect the abuser and not the child. And that needs to change. Our family court system is failing. at epidemic rates. This was an epidemic before the global pandemic even began. And there's simple changes, common sense changes that we can make, that every state can adopt to make sure that we protect our children. I'm very fortunate to sit here and tell you today that since Kira's murder, I've been very active both on the state and the federal level to help bring about change. As many of you know, first on the federal level, we were able to pass a congressional measure with unanimous bipartisan support to bring about changes in family court. And that was done with a wonderful group of people, including Anna, to bring about change. And what it asks is the following. Number one, that the health and safety of our children be the top priority when adjudicating family court decisions and child custody cases. Something that's common sense, but not happening in reality. Number two, that anyone who is involved in a child custody case is properly skilled and properly trained in the abuse being alleged. Again, common sense, but not happening in reality. And third, and finally, we need to be using the best scientific research in family court. We have things like the ACE study, the Adverse Childhood Event Study. This was done by the Centers for Disease Control. It is the gold standard of research, but our family court is not using it. These three things are simple, game-changing measures. And why do we look at this first on the national landscape? And why is this Family Court Awareness Month? Because nationwide, 70% of abusers are gaining custody. 70%. That is astronomical, and that is wrong. 58,000 children each year are court-ordered into the home of a parent who's abusing them. That means today, there are easily over 500,000 children who are terrified to be in the home that they are quarantined in. We can do better. On the state level, I'm very proud to tell you in New York, I'm working on 3 comprehensive bills, huge bills, that will be taking forward very soon. One of which is called Kira's Law, in memory of my daughter. And what it's going to do is make sure that we have the health and safety of the child is the first priority in custody cases. That abusers, the common tactics that they're using in family court, they will no longer be able to use. And it's going to mandate judge training, something that's key and critical. And we have 2 other amazing pieces of legislation that I hope we see across all 50 states, by the way. And I want to thank Assemblyman Hevesy and Assemblyman Dinowitz in New York for your leadership here. It's up to all of us to bring about a new day in family court. It's up to all of us who are listening through the live stream, all of us that are here, all of our wonderful legislators, to bring about the dawn of a new day. Hope is on the horizon. It is here. I'm asking you, no, actually, I'm begging you to step up and step in. Reach out to us, reach out to Tina, reach out to me, reach out to those that you know, because we can bring about change, simple changes, common sense changes, to make sure our children are protected. On behalf of Kira and all the other children whose voices have been silenced, their stories will be told. We're not going away quietly. It's time for change, and all of us can do this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I am going to invite my dear friend back up, Sandra Ross, and she is going to close us out after. And I should mention, Sandra is on the board of California Protective Parents Association, which is one of our partner organizations, and I'm honored to have her here, and she really is responsible for the majority of what you see here today. So I am grateful for her, and when Sandra is done speaking, we will Jacqueline and Anna are going to finish putting on the logos, the decals for their beautiful angel children, and then we will head out across the country.
Thank you, Tina. I'm like literally just in awe. I mean, I'm saddened deeply about what you women have gone through, and many women across the country. It just breaks my heart. So I can hardly get it together right now, but thank you so much for your courage and to keep fighting and to inspire so many women to pull together. I want to say thank you to our elected officials, Senator Rubio, Assemblywoman Rubio, and also to Representative Chu, to stand behind this, because we need to work on both sides of this. And it's so important. Last night I worked on putting together the pictures of the kids, and I see these vibrant, happy kids in these beautiful moments, and then like a chalkboard scratch, I realize that they're not with us. That's so wrong. We've got to pull together to take care of this. And I will tell you that the only thing worse than sending your child to an abuser is sending your child to their abuser, and in their case, the murderer of their child. So I'm so sorry. And with what we're experiencing today, and Tina, so much gratitude to you, and I want to move this to a happy moment. This is the moment that we come together. And Tina had this amazing concept to declare this as Family Court Awareness Month. We are behind you, and thank you. We are behind you. And just keep that image in mind. We need that to unify and change this. It's needless. So I think what we will do now is have Tina cut the ribbon on the RV that will be touring across the country, which is amazing. And then after that, we'll have Anna and Jacqueline come up and complete the logos for their foundations and charity.
I actually have the scissors right over there.
Oh, if she's gonna go get the scissors. But to those at home, thank you for participating, and just know that Tina and her energetic soul and spirit to make a difference will be completing this journey across 8 states. So she has 7 more stops, and you can live stream into that. It will be on the website for Family Court Month Awareness, and we hope to see you join it. And here she is. She's going to cut the ribbon. This is for you. Oh, we have to social distance, I'm sorry. So your loving volunteers that are behind you wanted to give you some gas money. And we have a couple angels and a compass for the trip. So God bless you.
Thank you all for being here today. Senator, Assemblywoman, everyone else, Anna, Jacqueline. I am absolutely honored to have your little ones accompany us across the country and back. And hopefully this is our time to raise awareness and bring change. So thank you to everyone